get the sign. Yes. So welcome all, and this is our first session related to onboarding on the Randstad project. And we will touch base several points today. There will be what is Randstad, then some information about the business and how it operates, why this is an important project, and also we will start checking the architecture. So what is Randstad? If you search for Randstad in Google, you will get information that this is a global leader company in HR services. The company was created in 1960, and it's a company that is actually doing really well on the market. Randstad are widely spread in a lot of countries. If you open, for example, Randstad.com, you will see a list of different countries in which they operate. So, for example, if I click search, currently they have more than 140,000 open jobs, and they operate in a really large amount of countries. What is their main business? Their main business is to offer jobs. So if you are a person who is looking to switch their job, you could enter any of the Randstad websites and you could search for a job. You could apply different filters and actually apply for that job. You have your own account. So you have a place where you could see all your job applications. And then this is only the beginning. This is the surface of the iceberg, because the business is not only about showing job offers. Randstad have a lot of offices which are inside a certain country, which means that they have a lot of physical offices. Just for an example, in France, if you go and see the number of offices that they have, if I click search, you see that they have more than 400 physical offices in France. If you go and check how many offices, for example, they have in Germany, again, it's a similar stuff. They have close to 400 physical offices. And in almost all of the bigger countries, they have a lot of physical offices. So their business is not only about what you could do online. Their business is what you could do if you go and visit a physical office, because one of the things that they are really famous for is really good consultant services. So those consultant services could be split in two main streams. One of them is if I am searching for a job as a person, and they will consult me and help me to find the perfect job for me. And then the second stream is if I am a business owner or a big company, I could go to Randstad and say, hey guys, please help me. I need to hire more than 100 people, or 1,000 people. One of the examples that recently we were aware of was Amazon went to Randstad and said, hey guys, please help us hire a couple of thousand people. And Randstad are really good at doing this because they have different channels. So all the jobs that you see on any of the websites are not only published on these websites, they are published in various different channels, which includes social networks, LinkedIn, Google for Jobs, any other job boards, and etc. So their work is really related to the services that they use, and it's extremely important that those websites are functional. Because if you are even either a client is a person that you have a company, or you are a talent. But talent is if I am searching for a job for myself. In both cases, the websites should be operational, and I should be able to go and search for a job. It's not only about searching and applying for a job. They provide other services as well. So in some of the countries, when you log in your profile, you have actually extra stuff that you could do. This means that you could sometimes work time, because if you work for Randstad, or you work for a person or a company that wants to see what is your actually time that you spend inside your profile, you could work time, or you could go and let me see, someone deleted my account in this one. I was logging into another one. or you could request different stuff to be provided to you by your employer. This is some other things that they do have and offer. So this is an example dashboard of a logged-in user, and but I will not go into the details now. My main point was just to tell you about the business. So what you need to remember is their online presence is extremely important, SEO is extremely important, and the websites should be functional. The next point that I have on my list is how many brands do they have? I guess you already figured out that if you have a company in HR services from 60s, you don't have only one brand. So you see that I have opened Randstad.com, Randstad France, I have opened Randstad Germany, and etc. Randstad UK. And if I check any of the websites, they look really similar. You see the blue, and then how is the design. But Randstad are not owning only Randstad as a brand, they have other brands. So this is something normal for big clients. They buy other brands or develop different brands. So currently you see we have Tempo Team, which is in this case in Belgium, but we also have, for example, Tempo Team in Netherlands, or we have a different brand that is completely different from these two, like OC, which is again a brand that is owned by Randstad. So it's not only a Randstad domain. In the case with OC, you see that the design is similar, but in the case with Tempo Team, the design is completely different. And also, they have some brands which are local, or for example, Randstad RiseSmart or Randstad SourceRight, etc. You see that in here, the design is again different compared to the stuff that I just showed you. So when we are working on the Randstad project, we should know that they also are the owner of Monster. You might have heard of them. Again, they are offering different services and different job listings. So up to now, just for a couple of seconds, you saw that they have several brands. So their businesses is really big, and they are trying to unify all of this. And before continuing, I need to let you know about an important part of the terminology when it comes to working on Randstad. And that part, it's called OPCO. OPCO, which is actually operational country. So Randstad usually use this as a reference, like this OPCO has that option, or the UK OPCO, or the Germany OPCO, or the France OPCO. So this means operational countries. They have this separation because, as you could imagine, if you have offices in the whole world, then it's normal that you need a way to distinguish this, and this is their word. It's called OPCO, again, operational country. The next thing that I would like to let you know is why this is an interesting project. This is something that we have been working on for a couple of years. So why this is a success? Because first, we have delivered a platform that reduced costs for the client. As you could imagine, they have a lot of advertisement, and one of the main things that they need is that these websites are fast. If you try to open, you see it's really it's fast. And compared to the previous technology, previously, this was not running on Drupal. It was running on .NET. And we all know that with .NET, you have some specifics when it comes to scalability. So one of the things that we managed to achieve by working on the RxP, it's like this. So this is Randstad Relevate X, or RxP platform. So currently, the project is Randstad, but the platform that we built, it's called RxP. And the RxP platform allows our clients to reduce their costs for hostings. Another thing is that with this platform, Randstad managed to unify a lot of countries. And what I mean by unifying a lot of countries, or a lot of OPCOs, operational countries, back in the days, their business was like similar to franchise, which means that yes, the owning entity and the master is actually Randstad, but each of the countries, especially countries which are more, let's say, powerful, they had their own IT departments, and they had their own vendors, and their own vendors were actually responsible for their own websites, which is the representation for the end clients. And with the RXP platform, one of the things that we managed to do was actually deliver one platform and unify what different countries are using as the front end. What I mean as the front end is what you see here. This is one of the other reasons why Randstad managed to reduce their costs. Because if you have different sub-vendors in different places in the world, you need to support different systems. In this case, if you have a common way how things look, it's easier for you to onboard new people, to teach them how to use the platform. And then when you make an update to the platform, you actually make an update to all the countries. So this is one of the other things that you need to remember when working on the project, is that if you're making a major update, keep in mind that this might affect a business of more than 50 different countries and different nationalities and etc., different languages. So always try to think of this perspective. Another thing that we managed to do with introducing the platform is actually introducing and utilizing the Orbit. Orbit is a design system that's created by Randstad. So Randstad, as a big company, they have their own design system. So they have the whole flow. This means they have an idea, then this idea is validated, then they have different focus groups. They have researchers that go and check how things should look like. And then when things are confirmed that they should look like in a certain way, then we have components which are built for us. So Orbit team is not a team that we directly, it's not a team that consists of our team members. It's a different team on Randstad side, and they develop all of these components. And these components come to you guys as you see. That's not a good example. Let me pick list items or notifications. Yeah, notifications award. And you see what is the usage. And I have an HTML example of how this could be used. Same with if I go to buttons, and you see documentation about the buttons, some example usages, what is okay to be done, what is not okay to be done, and then again some HTML examples. That are a lot. Having this Orbit library, it's useful because this is one of the reasons why the Randstad brands look alike. So you see the blue one, you see the button, you see how things are actually ordered. So Randstad design is the source of truth when it comes how things should look like. So this is for our colleagues from the front-end department. We receive the HTML markup from them, we receive CSS and JavaScript. This doesn't mean that we don't have to make modifications, I guess, you already know, because having to use a design system usually means that most of the times there are some tweaks and adjustments, and also we need to transform this in not only plain HTML or templates that could be used by Drupal, but also transform it in a way that it could be used by React. And I will touch base about it a bit later, just to make sure that now the source of truth is Orbit. Usually, sometimes, let's say, they ask us to make adjustments, but our way of thought is always Orbit should be leading. We could make adjustments, but it's not a good idea because Orbit have different releases. So in a regular basis, they have newer versions, and we need to adjust those versions at our side. So I guess you already connected the dots, but if you made any adjustments to a component, and then someone updated the way this component looks and works, then we could not simply update the Orbit version at our side. It's always work that has to be done. But for the sake of this call here, the important thing for you is to know and remember that we have Randstad.design, and Orbit is the library that is used by Randstad, and they have their own team, and it's everything that looks here and how things are structured are a result of their own wishes as a client and based on their research. Then these are some of the things why this is an interesting project, and I will now just click through one website so you could see what functionalities they have. The first website that was migrated to the platform was the UK one. You see that on each of the Randstad websites, you have a menu item, you have an option to register your profile and etc. So profile stuff, it's called My Randstad at Randstad. This is how they called it. Usually you have a header where you could search for a job. It's a quick search like I'm interested in teacher jobs. I click search and I get to a list of jobs for teachers. Then on the home page, usually except of the information which is specific to a different operational country, they have a link for different articles, and also if there are any offices near me. So for example, these are some London postal codes. Don't worry, guys, I know them because I used to work on the project. You don't need to know them. It's just research. So if I click again on that form, you see I'm located to a place where I could see a certain office and I have a map. So on the home page, the way how Randstad Business operates is they are trying to give all the information that you might need. So you have jobs nearby me. I have some articles that I could read. I have an option to find the office which is near me, the physical office, I mean. Then I have some suggestions about jobs that are available. And on the top, the first thing that I need to be able to do in this website is search for a job. That's the first thing you see. Then usually they have a separation, which means job seekers. Job seeker is a person who is seeking for a job, and employers is if we are a company that wants to use their services. And what kind of applications they have, because what you're seeing here is actually static HTML. How I could confirm that we are seeing static HTML? Well, if I simply refresh and then choose HTML, you see here the GET request, and the GET request is again from the headers. You could see that we have cache, so this is actually being cached. This is the document that we have received, and in here we have some headers. This is for the backend guys, but you see it's hit from CloudFront. What does this mean? Currently, the way that the RxP platform is built is the editors have access to Drupal as a CMS. Inside Drupal, they could create those pages, the content, and then we have a process of static generation. You will hear this a lot. Don't worry, this won't be the only time I'm explaining it, but this means that when you actually click generate the website, the Tommy model will go. It will check all the content of the Drupal CMS and then generate an HTML version of each of the pages. Those HTML versions are stored inside S3 bucket. And we're using Amazon Web Services. And that's why this is working really fast, because it's static HTML which is being served. So for most of the content which is not dynamic, we are using static generation, and we have statically generated HTML files. And most of the website as a content is just static. The dynamic parts, however, are handled by microservices. And what might be the dynamic parts? Let me show you. If I go to my network tab, then let's say I want to see any AJAX requests here. I don't want to see the HTML one. And when I start typing, you see there was a request from the website towards an endpoint. I will open the endpoint in the tab. And it's actually calling API /search/get search results. And the dynamic parts are handled with JavaScript that's making requests to our microservices. And based on that data, we're updating either something on the interface or etc. This is how these forms work. This is how it's made. Then we do have some listings which are totally dynamic. They could not be static. That's because of their business case. For example, a list of available jobs could not be static. That's why when you open a list of jobs, this is actually the so-called app. So we have jobs app. For each of the specific cases, we have different apps, different microservices, which some of them have only backend, others have backend and frontend. Apps are written in JavaScript. So for the frontend, we are using React. For the backend, in there, we are using Node.js. And actually, in here, you see a list of jobs. And if you check the headers now, let me again click on O here, refresh the page, and see the actual result. I have a miss from CloudFront, which is normal, accepted, because the client wants to have the latest jobs available always. And also, if you dig deeper, you find out that this is actually not a response coming from static HTML, but it's actually a response coming from an application, JavaScript application. The dynamic parts in a regular website are list of jobs, then list of offices. Again, this is dynamic because you could go and edit some stuff as an editor, and also you're allowed to filter stuff, search, let's say, any office regarding health near London, and I've got a result. And if I check the network tab, let me just go one step back, you see that it's making, again, the similar request, but this is actually being served by a React application. Let me clear this one, search, and we are interested in this. We set health, and we set London area, let's say 50 miles, and you see the response. And this response is then rendered. So this is another dynamic part that we have. A third app. So up to now with you guys, we showed the jobs app, which is responsible for listing jobs, filtering jobs, and etc. Anything related to jobs. Even if you click on a job and the job detail page is again served by the jobs app, we managed to see a app which is listing offices. In Randstad world, this is called branch locator app. It's called as a branch because in their terminology, branch is a physical place, an office. And that's why you need to have a branch listing app. It's called branch locator. The main purpose, if you want to search for a certain office, would be how to find that office. And then when you click on the office page, however, on the branch detail page, this one is static because you don't often change information about office, but you do often change information about job offer. That's the way of thought. That's why the listing for offices is dynamic, but the actual office information is static. But in the jobs, the listing of jobs is dynamic, and the actual job detail information is also dynamic. The next thing that I would like to show you, it's called articles. So we have different pages, but when I click on CO articles, this listing here, again, is dynamic, and it's using an application similar to what we have for branch locator. When you click on a certain article, though, then you go to a static HTML version of the article because the article was written, someone approved it, they said, please statically publish it, the site. So the article itself is static, but when you have to filter data, search for a keyword or anything else, then this part is dynamic. And this app, it's called articles because we are listing articles. The last thing that I would like to show you as an app, don't worry, it's not the only app. We have a lot of apps, but I don't want to overwhelm you now. It's called My Randstad. This one is related to actually handling your accounts. So this is related to login or creating an account. And as these parts are dynamic, the main reason behind having this as a dynamic app is this. Also, you see that the fields are pretty straightforward. I will actually create an account just to show you what is the current flow, because someone deleted my account. So I will create an account now. I need to provide the password again. I need to provide title, first name, last name, phone number. I'm happy to receive any communication. I need to provide my CV because this is, again, expected to have to provide CV. Let's upload an image. Then I need to choose a specialism. This is, again, part of the terminology. What is the idea? In HR world, a specialism is where you're really good at, your best skill. So if I say that I'm good at education, I could choose a subspecialism, like my subspecialty. If I finish something about being a teacher, then I could say my subspecialty is primary school, or etc. This is the way of thought. And this is actually related, guys, to almost any different category in the world. So if I say I'm good in IT, you see that we have different categories which are listed by the clients. It's not us who are creating them. And this is client specifics. So let's say I'm good at construction property and I'm good at constructions. I want to be a construction worker. Then I choose a region. Each of the regions, again, are depending on the different operational country, etc. Job type. And I could choose a salary. And then I could choose a local office. So some of the opcos have this option where you could choose what do you want to work with, and then if you could choose a specific local office. When I accept the terms and conditions and click create, then I expect to receive a notification that, okay, I already have an account. Let me change it. Then creating one. Okay, I have received a message that I'm one step away. I need to visit my email, and if I open my email, you see I have a email which is your verification link. I click on here, and my account is confirmed. So my account was confirmed, which means that I could now try to log in. I will get my email address from the email client, and then I will log in. So they have captcha in every possible place. That's normal. And you see that this is my dashboard. And in my dashboard, I have no applications, no favorite jobs, because you could go and choose different favorite jobs. And I have already some jobs which Randstad are recommending to me. The reason for that is that I already said what is my specialty. So I said that I'm interested in construction works. That's why they are recommending me some jobs. And inside my profile, I have sections where I could see my applications. I could see what are my job preferences and adjust them. I have a section with my personal information, and also I have different settings and an option to delete an account. So everything related to having an actual account is inside this app. So now we have managed to focus on and see quickly Jobs app, my Randstad tab related to profiles, branch locator related to listing of offices, and articles app related to listing of articles. By having these in mind, I could now open a diagram showing how is this connected. This is the bigger diagram. I know it it might be confusing. So I will provide for you access after the call. So create a chat. In that chat, I will make sure that it's related to the onboarding process and to everything that I have shown you here today. I will send you links so you could check them on your own. And now I will open a different version of the architecture, which is a bit more, is it this one? Sorry. No, I need to find the diagram for, yes, okay. Let me see, diagram. No, architecture diagram. I will use this one and as a beginning. So this is how it's structured, how it currently works. Currently, we have backend layer, we have front-end layer, and also we have some API microservices layer. And in the backend layer, what we have is you see a CMS instance. The CMS instance in this case is Drupal. So editors or anyone from the OPCO side as the business, they log in and open the Drupal instance. That Drupal instance actually has connections to several other services. So we're using only Amazon Web Services. That's why, for example, you see a service for the database. Also, you see S3 buckets for any files. And also in here, you have some stuff called central library. Just a slight note about the central library. As Randstad are a big client, they have their own design system, but they also have their own brand portal. What is the idea of it? It's important for them as a business to have approved items that different OPCOs could use. What does it mean? They have a list of, I'm currently logging to the brand portal, so I could show you what's the idea of it. They have a list of approved images and assets that any of the editors could use on their websites. So you see in the website here, we have two guys and etc. Then different other images. All of these are pre-approved by Randstad, and they have a section with logo, color, typography, photography, illustrations, etc. So if, for example, if I go to photography, here is a list of approved items that could be used in any of the websites. And the process is that someone from Randstad is approving an image, and then this image is going to this brand portal. And then the follow-up process is that we have a logic which is importing those images to the Drupal CMS. So inside Drupal, when you're creating a content, let's say a page, you could choose only from images which are pre-approved. And that's a normal stuff from marketing point of view. That's why we have this central library. I won't go into details how it was before and how it's now. What you need to remember is that we have a design library, Orbit, and we have brand portal, which is responsible for such assets like images. And last but not least, editors could upload their own, but this is something for the business to decide whether they will continue being able to upload different images than pre-approved ones. Then we have this one, like HTML site generator worker. What's the idea? From the CMS, you could click generate static version. Then we have a worker who will go fetch all pages and generate HTML version of the Drupal pages. That's why it's in here in the diagram. This is really not going into details. What's the idea of having Drupal? Creating content, managing that content, having an option to create a static website. Then the second group of users that we have, it's called the, let me call the arguments. It's called the end users. So anyone who is not an editor or a person from Randstad that should have access to manipulating content. And those end users actually load the static HTML. You see, they load them from this bucket, S3 bucket. We are using Adobe S3 as a service. The static version of the HTML goes to this S3 bucket. And when you try to open any of the pages, CloudFront sits in front of it. CloudFront is a CDN. That's why I showed you, for example, that if you open any of the pages, you could see the actual caching layer that's in place, and that is also saving money for our clients, because if you go and check the response headers, I have a hit from CloudFront, and actually this is the static HTML that's being served. And this is valid for most of the pages. For dynamic data, it's not hitting and getting content from S3 bucket. It's actually returning data from the different apps. You see, we have the My Randstad app, and here it's Search app or Jobs app. It's the same idea because you're searching for jobs. And then we have other apps. I won't go into that many details for all of the apps, but I need to touch base on one important thing. You see that we have application load balancer, this one, ALB. What's the idea of that application load balancer? Well, in order for the infra to know what to serve on which URL, when you try to access a specific URL, let's say, I'll close these sites and go to the UK one, because I believe it's easier to operate in English for all of us. In here, I don't have any specific URL, but if I click and then try to open /jobs, then this is the jobs app. This is the search app for jobs. And that's why we have in the diagram application load balancer, which based on a certain rules, some of them are related to URLs, will know where to navigate the traffic, whether the traffic will go to the jobs app or to My Randstad app or to anything else. That's how this is organized. And that's why when I open /jobs, it loads jobs app, but if I go to /My Randstad, it loads the My Randstad application. Then for each of the apps, we are using ECS service, Elastic Cluster Service. What's the idea of this ECS service? Well, like I said from the beginning, Randstad have a lot of traffic. Sometimes there are a lot of people who are trying to operate and with the website. That's why we have different ECS rules, and we have auto-scaling options, which means that if there is too much traffic on any of the microservices, it will scale horizontally, and it will add another instance. And the load balancer here, it will actually distribute the traffic between the 2, 3, 4 instances that it's required to exist. That's the idea. All the data, that's an important thing for everyone to know, by the way. All the data that you see is encrypted, which means that Randstad have a requirement that we have encrypted at rest. So all the databases which are used to have an encrypted option, because for some of the operational countries, we do store personal details. So in this case with UK, you saw that I have an account, and these account details are stored in a database, and that database is encrypted. It's encrypted at rest. It's also encrypted in transmission, which means that if someone by any chance compromises Amazon services and manages somehow to download any data, the data is still encrypted. And also it's encrypted when it's in transfer. That's why you see here encrypted data, etc. That's the explanation. One thing that it's not visible in this diagram, but I would like to give you some information about it, is the accounts that are currently being created are valid for the website, but Randstad have their own identity and access management. This is identity access management. And the idea of having this IAM service at Randstad site is that Randstad doesn't have only websites. They have mobile applications. They have different other services which you could operate with your account. That's why they have this identity and access management service. So once you have a profile in that identity access management service, they could add and enable you to access different services from their list, which means that with this profile here, if they provide me access to the mobile app, I'll be able to log in through my phone and have the same details. And it's different for other services. So this account data, it's not only stored at our site on some operational countries, it's always stored at Randstad site as well. It's similar as a service when it comes to jobs. I guess you already figured this out, but those jobs are not added manually in the CMS. Randstad are using a service which is called DOA. This is something that they created. The idea of this DOA service is that each OPCO, each operational country, is pushing to this service their open jobs positions. So if I'm, let's say, a Randstad manager in Bulgaria, let's say in Bulgaria, for example, and I have 10,000 open job offers, I need to push all my open job offers to this service. This service is responsible for making sure that the jobs that I push to this service will be available to the Randstad Bulgaria website, and it will be available to the Randstad.com website. And if anyone else wants to see how many job offers I have opened, we have a common place that is responsible for these jobs. This is a legacy service. It's still in use in almost all the apps and all the countries. And we have a process which is related to actually importing jobs. So in this diagram here, you see the DOA database. And in that DOA database, we're using lambda functions to import data, which means that on a certain period of time, we're querying DOA and saying, hey, do you have any updates for us? And if DOA has any updates for us, we are fetching the data and storing the data inside Elasticsearch. So RXP platform is running and using Elasticsearch, which again, it's encrypted the data in there. But Elasticsearch is the place where this dynamic stuff lives. So we have different indexes in Elasticsearch for jobs, as you could imagine, for offices, for articles, and etc. But the most important thing is that jobs are not created by RXP team nor by editors in the CMS. Jobs are actually coming from the DOA service, and jobs are imported on a regular basis. It depends how often, but usually it's in 5 or 15 minutes intervals constantly. So it's like, hey, do you have anything new for me? Yes, import. This is really in short how the diagram works. I know that it's a lot, but don't worry. We will go into details for the different apps, and I will explain you how this works. Currently, what I'm showing you is called RXP Classic. One of the stuff that is being prepared to be worked on, it's called RXP Talent Foundation. What's the difference between RXP Classic and RXP Talent Foundation? RXP Classic is the current living platform available to all OPCOs. RXP Talent Foundation is a new platform that will go live at the end of October. And that new platform is actually utilizing Next.js applications and the services that hydrate those applications are coming from Randstad site. Why they decided to have RXP Classic and RXP Talent Foundation? They need to have these two because you saw that with the RXP platform, we actually managed to unify how things work on the front-end side, on the client side. So Randstad managed to make sure that all the functionalities that you see here as an end users are the same. But one of the things that was not unified with this platform was what was happening on the OPCO side. So every time when you create an account, we need to push this data to the OPCO, to the operational country, because operational countries, they have a lot of offices. If you have 400 offices, you need to have a common place where you could search for a certain candidate or check some stuff or make some offers, etc. Also, you do have some candidates which doesn't have a web account. So all the operational countries have their own infrastructure and their own backend legacy systems operating in that country. And this meant that when we were migrating RXP platform to those countries, we had to push profile data and job applications data or some other custom forms data to their legacy systems. And what was the problem? Well, the problem was that if you have 30 different countries, you have 30 different systems. So they are not unified. That's the reason why Randstad started their own internal process and project, which is called R1. The idea of that project is to unify the backend systems which are used on OPCO side. This means if you are working in an office in Randstad in a certain country, you'll be working with the same software that your colleague from Randstad in different country will be using. Still, this is not in place, but it's planned to be rolled out gradually to all the operational countries. And I guess you already made the connection, but when they are unifying how and where this data is stored, this means that we could even unify better what functionalities you have in the different apps. Because in RXP Classic, the current living platform, you might see different options in your profile, for example, based on the different countries. The idea of Talent Foundation is to unify how things look, unify how things work, and unify where things are stored. That's the main difference between RXP Talent Foundation and RXP Classic. And I know that I gave you a lot of information for one call. That's why I would like to ask you, do you have any questions to me? And use the remaining time so I could answer the questions.
As you said, that's a lot of information. Yeah, we'll probably have to process it out.
Yeah.
Okay, so what will be my next step, guys? Will be I will create a chat. In that chat, I will provide you access to those diagrams that I just showed you, so you could start checking. My task for you would be open any of the websites that I just showed you and go through the websites, click through the websites, get to know the business. And then if you have any questions, ping me in that channel. Then the next thing that I will do is I will request creation of accounts for you, so you could have direct access to Confluence and the other stuff. Please bear in mind that the creation of accounts might take some time, so it won't be right away. We are not the owners of those accounts, it's the client. And I have already sent you an invite for the next session. In the next session, we will start going into the details of each of the stuff that I showed you. I know that we didn't discuss about way of work, branching, and etc. So the next sessions will be more for the details. The idea of this session today was for you to get an idea how the business works and what we created for them.
Okay, that's how it goes. I remember my account already in the Randstad, but it just was blocked because I only onboard next time, but not to the ticket.
Yes, you have a new account. It's normal. Yep. They have a procedure. So if you have been inactive for some time, they close the account. By the way, when you receive your accounts, we have a procedure on Randstad that you need to change your password in 90 days. If you don't password, your account will be deactivated automatically by our client. It's not something that we do. It's really good practice. So check your emails and make sure you update the passwords in 90 days.
Okay.
Okay, I will stop the recording.